Guys, good afternoon. It's good to be with you. Secretary Mayorkas is saying all the time that what we're dealing with down here along the southwest border is due to irregular immigration. And I want you to know, we were told by law enforcement that most recently they are seeing huge groups of about 200 plus Hondurans specifically, because in June, Secretary Mayorkas passed an exemption allowing Hondurans to come. So we came down last night. I want you to take a look at the numbers I'm seeing. The other part of this is these are all new wristbands. We talked about these cartel wristbands they're putting on men, women, and children, and this is trafficking of people. Take a look at what we've got here. You hear me talk about all the time that this is not human smuggling, this is debt bondage. And you see these wristbands? Well, once they cross, they break them. When you see this and the wristband isn't broke, it's because it's been on a child. You see, they don't have to break it like all the others. That child's wrist is so small, they can just slip it right off. You look at these young ones here, and you can see what I'm talking about in regards to the young ages that are here. This is the story that's not told. Most people come down here and they look at this and they think this is just illegal immigration. There's so much more to this. And these wristbands that are placed on men, women, and children, that's the game changer. What you're witnessing here at the southwest border in Roma, Texas, this is America's new slave trade. This is not human smuggling. Get ready, America. It's coming toward you. And so all these families have to pay this debt back. And you see it on them, just crossing from Miguel Alemán into Roma, Texas. And guys, when you see them like this is because for children, their little arms and their little wrists are so small, they just slide them right over. They don't have to break them like they do for the adults. And as you were seeing in those images, we shot those last night down here. The problem with this is that this is a direct result. Most of the people that you were seeing there, those are Hondurans. Why are they here? They are here because of the policy that was recently passed in June by DHS, giving the exemption to Hondurans. And this is a very important point. DHS Secretary is consistently telling the American people, we're dealing with this irregular immigration issue that's happening on a mass scale from around the world. And we can prove that he caused this one when it comes to these Hondurans, because when they allow them to come, they come in large numbers. And the worst part of this, guys, is that these people you're seeing have been in stash houses on the Mexico side in the care, custody, and control of Cartel de Gapa, one of the most violent cartels, and also in one of the most violent regions on the southwest border. Back to you.
Jaeson, you're an experienced guy there on the border. And you're pointing out to us something that, like you said, is a game changer. It's heartbreaking to see these little kids. It's heartbreaking to me as a parent because I know what that means. That means those parents got to pay off the cartel. That cartel owns those people. So what's going to stop this?
Leadership. And we don't have it in the federal government. I'll be honest with you here. I'm absolutely frustrated. I wrote that story in February of 2021, and I can't understand how we can go back down here and somebody in Washington can't pick up a phone and call Mexico and say, I want this stopped, and I want to stop right now. This is failed leadership. We're so far beyond just policy at this point. You know, we talk about this problem down here about immigration all the time. When I'm down here and I'm seeing these babies wearing these wristbands and knowing how violent these cartels are, Bob, I know them very well. You know, and then they're crossing these families in some of the most violent regions where you've got Cartel del Noreste, Cartel de Gapa battling for territory. And then they're moving these families through here. Who knows what is happening to them? You know, last night we tried to talk to a couple of them and about what the latest prices are, what they're going through. They're told by the cartel, do not talk. And every time you start to, somebody else will step up and say, stop talking, don't say anything. Because they're scared to death of these people. And that is the story that is not told by most of the media, because you've got to know these cartels. You've got to know how they treat these people. And unless you're with law enforcement, you understand that background, you know, these cartel members, they don't walk around with the Born to Lose tattoo stamped on their forehead. Mm-hmm. These crooks are the real deal. And this is how they're making billions of dollars off of these people. It's sad, guys. I'm going to be very frank with you. It's just really a sad situation.
Yeah, Jaeson, you described this as America's new slave trade. And I know there are a lot of unanswered questions, but you observe so much being embedded there at the border. Maybe can you explain a little bit of then when these families and kids even wearing these wristbands do come over the border, what happens to them? Maybe a few steps into what their life becomes at that point.
It's a great point. So as soon as they cross, what happens is, I don't know if you can see this number. These are all new wristbands, by the way. I haven't seen these. These are some of the latest ones. You see that number right there? I don't know if it's coming across on the screen or not.
Hard to see.
What happens is they're told by the cartel, rip that off. As So they're ripping them off as soon as we're seeing them come up out of the river. From there, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection turns them over to Health and Human Services, and they're sent throughout this country. But they have already made, as a result of this agreement right here with Cartel de Golfo, they've already made the agreement with them in Mexico. So they know when they get to their destination, they know a phone number, who to call, and then what payments to make to that individual in every state and city in this country. Because when this was started in February of 21, the Gulf Cartel and many of the others were pushing people into these groups to push them throughout the nation so that they can now collect, because this was a whole new process as they went from smuggling to the trafficking of men, women, and children. So now they're in this country. Our government, for whatever reasons, decided this is what needs to happen. So now they're up there, but yet they're indebted, making those payments, some of them every other week, some of them on a monthly basis, and then that money goes back to these cartels in Mexico. This is truly where we are right now.
Yeah.
It is just shameful. Just shameful, guys.